Welcome to Live.Work.Thrive. I'm Makayla Birmingham, Scary Mommy Executive Producer, and I will be the moderator of tonight's panel. As parents, we make daily choices that impact not only our health, but the health of the planet we will leave to our children. Having kids comes with so much stuff. The bags, the strollers, the sippy cups, the plastic bin to put in the dishwasher so the other plastic stuff doesn't fall and melt on the other plastic stuff. It can feel overwhelming. In this episode of Live.Work.Thrive, our panel of experts will discuss how to use less, waste less, and reduce toxins in our homes. It's going to be a Marie Kondo, Erin Brockovich mashup, and I am so here for it. So stick around. Specifically, we will dive into what the pandemic has taught us about all our stuff, what the baby industry doesn't want us to know about the stuff we don't actually need, the biggest sources of toxins in our homes, and how to make individual choices that can impact the environmental movement on a larger scale. Let's meet our panelists. Tonight we have with us Aaronica Cole, mom of 3, who discovered green living as an alternative to antibiotics that one of her children were using for a recurrent illness. Aaronica, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Aaronica writes about living green, parenting, and social justice, as well as body positivity on her site, thecrunchyMommy.com. Also with us tonight is Kathryn Kellogg. She is founder of Going Zero Waste, a lifestyle website dedicated to helping others live a healthier and more sustainable life. Hi, Kathryn. Thanks for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Kathryn is also a spokesperson for the Plastic-Free Living at National Geographic, and she's author of 101 Ways to Go Zero Waste, a book that breaks down sustainable living into easy step-by-step instructions. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait to dive in with these awesome panelists, but first we have a few reminders for our audience. You can submit questions in the comments wherever you're watching, and we may feature your question later on in the show. As well, join our mailing list so you don't miss any of our upcoming virtual events. Visit scarymommy.com/liveworkthrive to sign up and stay in touch. Let's get into tonight's topic. So, Kathryn, as we've talked about here on this show, the climate is in crisis, but the solutions don't necessarily have to be all or nothing. How can individuals embrace sustainable living in a way that is accessible to everyone, even if you are not quite at the zero waste stage of saving all your waste into a mason jar and posting it on social media?
Yeah, I definitely think the mason jar and trash is something that's pretty inaccessible for a lot of people. And instead, it's about focusing on small actions we can do. And there are many that we can participate in. One that springs to mind is reducing food waste, starting to compost, and just by making a few of these simple swaps and using our actions as proof to leverage this for larger change that we can petition for both our politicians and businesses, and hope that they'll create more sustainable change in their companies, making sustainable living easier for everyone.
That makes perfect sense. So, Aaronica, as we're thinking about these individual choices, I feel like as a mom or a parent with a family on a budget, sometimes it's necessary to make the choice between sustainable and affordable. What advice do you have for anyone navigating these tough choices, especially now that organic strawberries cost $12? Like literally, I had to tell my child the other day, like, no, we will not be buying strawberries today because I refuse. Like, how do you approach those tough decisions?
I mean, $12 strawberries, whoo, those have to be the best strawberries in the world.
Right.
I do think that, considering price is a really important thing, right? And I do think that in the long run, living sustainable is actually definitely more cost effective. But I think that it's really important that we pay attention to the things that we buy and see where we can cut some corners. So while, yes, organic strawberries might be $12, but if you find a local farm and support your local economy, in addition to local farmers, because farmers need that support, that's just as good. Going through the organic process, the organic certification process is super long. It can cost a lot, and they might not have the organic certification, but that doesn't mean that they aren't practicing organic practices. So try to make some of those swaps. Eat in-season fruits and vegetables. Those are always going to be cheaper. So like something like strawberries in the dead of winter is going to be more expensive because that's not what's an in-season fruit. So using the fall for those apples, apple pies. I'm from New York. We used to go apple picking all the time, so focusing on those in-season fruits and vegetables is also an excellent way. And even if you don't use them all, you can freeze them. You can absolutely can them. And now they're usable. So that's just food, and that's a way to prevent food waste as well as cut down on your budget. But we all know kids love to play, right? And of course, they have all of these commercials showing all of these bright colors, all of these great plastics, and you're like, I've got to fight my kid about sustainability over fun. But finding a balance, right? So let's say if they are taking good care of their toys, taking those toys to donate and increase the longevity of that toy in exchange for new toys. Focusing on sustainably made toys is also really great, like wooden toys, excellent option. Metal toys, excellent option. Unless your kids are like mine and like to use them to fight, then you might want to like use something a little bit gentler, but just kind of starting there.
That's a great point. And I think, on the topic of eating food in season, it's also a great way to teach your kids about, these are some new things to try because they're perfect at this time of year. It's a great kind of entree to get them to maybe try something new and not eat the same white, bland food all the time, right? So it's interesting that we now find ourselves finally starting to begin signs of normal life, thankfully, with increased vaccinations and all of those developments that have happened. But I do think that the past year of lockdown and staying home has taught us some lessons in terms of how much stuff we really do need. I, for one, have gotten some excellent mileage out of these very comfortable Adidas joggers that I literally have worn to the point of like holes in my quarantine uniform. I'm very sad to part with these joggers, but now they're not even fit to like go in public with anymore. Women literally, many people that I know just stopped buying clothes completely because there was no place to go. Kathryn, do you think this minimalist trend will continue as things begin to reopen?
It's something I certainly hope. I hope that it continues. And to also kind of add on to what Aaronica was saying about, preserving and canning and freezing, many of us did take steps back and we returned to a lot of self-sufficient practices because they were rewarding. They were entertaining for something new, maybe making banana bread, making a loaf of sourdough, growing a garden, right? These were many very popular quarantine activities. And what I hope is that people found some form of fulfillment and enjoyment from those tasks, and that we'll still see some of these practices that do revolve around slowing down and focus on really kind of living with the patterns of nature and realizing that we have a lot of what we need within our own means. One of the best things I tell people to practice is a waiting practice. And many of us have waited a very long time this past year. And what I mean by that is if you go out into the world shopping, as an example, and you see a new piece of clothing that you really, really like and you really want, tell yourself you can have it. You just have to wait 30 days. And what that does, the practice of waiting, it ensures that it's something you're actually going to really want and love. It's something that you'll think about. Because what I find is most of the time after waiting, I realize I don't actually want or need that item. And I completely forgot I ever wanted it in the first place. So by separating ourselves from marketing and being able to focus intentionally on what's truly going to add value and joy to our lives, we can make sure that what we're bringing into our homes is purposeful.
I think that's a great point. And, especially when it comes to raising kids, with the fact that many of us are on social media and we're sharing all these family moments, of course, picking the best moments where everyone's smiling and happy and not crying and miserable. But, there's a certain amount of keeping up with the Joneses, as much as we all know it's there. And we try to say that we're not going to buy into that. It's almost impossible sometimes to not compare. And, as parents, we want to give our kids the best. And so there is a lot of pressure to think of, maybe if we just had this thing, this would be better, or they would be learning this faster, or they would be getting more enrichment. Do we really need all the stuff? Aaronica, what do you think about this topic? You mentioned this idea of donating toys. Can we live without the pair of baby newborn Jordans, or is this a necessity?
Oh, listen, I really hope that we can. In fact, so full disclosure, I love sneakers. I am a recovered sneakerhead. And I might spend like $100 on Jordans for myself, but I truly cannot fathom the idea of spending $60 on Jordans for a kid who can't walk, and I really do, just to even piggyback off of what Kathryn said, I really do hope that this time has taught us to be more mindful, right? So just really thinking about the purposes for buying these things. And like, I made some great pandemic purchases because I have three, like we've got a sandbox, we bought a house, like we bought, a couple of these necessities, but our sandbox is wooden and it's covered. And I definitely plan on going to somebody's beach to refill the sand, right? So being more intentional with these so that they are being used actively and they aren't just kind of being tossed to the side and being like, oh, that was like fun for a day. So as we're making these purchases, we're keeping in mind and we're using them to actively engage with our children. My kids have been homeschooled before, and even when I was homeschooling, we did a lot of unschooling. So like my daughters learned about math through grocery shopping. Like we did a lot of compare and contrast versus, buying all of these extra things, because I think that the world offers so many learning experiences for us, and we don't necessarily have to buy something to create this, right? We've got the play money and things out there, but like, what about if we go to the grocery store and we do a cost benefit analysis on, which is cheaper, which is more cost effective, and how are we going to be able to use it? Which is going to actually be fulfilling our need? Will we be overbuying? What happens if we overbuy? Like we compost. So like my kids are like, well, if we don't eat it, we'll compost it and it'll go back into the ground. It'll feed our garden. So I think that when we're teaching our kids to be more intentional about the things that they even desire, then we are raising a next generation of kids and people who are going to be better and more apt to take care of the earth, while also understanding what they need, how to fulfill that need, and not be out here just really trying to keep up with the proverbial Joneses. Though I am the one who does show pictures of their kids crying on the internet. So, feel free to keep up with me.
Yes. If you want to just feel like you're not alone, crying pictures available, thecrunchymommy.com, visit the crying children. No, I think that is so true. Our last session on this show, we talked about, as we reopen, what the future of work looks like. And one of the experts we had on from the Harvard Business School made a really interesting point that the office life and the back to work life that we think we want to return to is actually in many cases not there, because we as people have changed and our priorities have changed, and our desire to squeeze our foot into an uncomfortable shoe and an uncomfortable blazer or whatever it is that we used to think was necessary, it's not there anymore. After this length of time, we've all had this chance to do a reset. And I'm really curious what is going to happen to, all of these things that we used to buy as just kind of the way things were, if we're going to really rethink that. Her prediction is that working from home is going to be the wave of the future. So yay for my Adidas pants. I feel like I can get like one more pair and I'm good for like the next year and don't need anything else. But Kathryn, what do you think about, clothing rental services and other, I know there are similar programs for toys for children and, things that offer you the ability to borrow something, use it, and then when you're done, send it back and, get the next thing, as opposed to, wearing the dress once and then letting it sit in your closet.
I am a huge fan of the sharing economy, and I actually think we're going to see a lot more innovation in tech in this space, especially this year and next. I also think we're going to see a lot of innovation in the milkman model, which is where things are, for instance, reusable packaging like Loop. There's also several local places that do this here, like Zero Grocery, where they drop off in reusable containers at your door. You use the product, then you drop them back on your door. Someone picks them up, cleans them, sanitizes, and reuses over and over again. Something I also think is amazing is Berkeley, California. There's a tool library. So if you have a weekend project and you want to redo the floors in your bathroom, you can go and pick up all the tools you need to do the job and then take them back. And it's completely free. You just need a library card. Toy libraries, similarly, to what Aaronica was saying about, if they want, getting new toys, you can actually go to a library, check toys out for a month. They can play with them, bring them back, pick out new toys. And it's a way to keep the resources in play longer and to encourage sharing amongst everyone. And even as we're getting outside more, REI, sports basement, many of these places you can check out camping gear or hiking gear, and you can go outside and you can use it when you actually need it, instead of having it around all the time, sitting and collecting dust.
This is so great. I am desperate. I need some camping chairs. You understand how many kids sports I've been to, and I'm like, I don't want that stuff. It's too much clutter. And then I go to the track meet and I see all these parents. I'm like, should have got that chair, because would it be standing or sitting here on this anthill getting eaten? But good tip. I didn't know you could actually borrow those, because I don't have space. I don't have space for a family supply of freaking folding camping chairs. When you live in an urban area, it's tough, right? So in thinking about the clutter and the stuff, I wonder if each of you could talk a little bit about some of the mental health benefits of having less stuff. Aaronica, do you, as well as we have obviously the environmental benefits, what does, paring down your consumption do for you, kind of emotionally speaking?
So I'm absolutely one of those people who, if their space is cluttered, chances are my emotions are cluttered, my mind space is cluttered. And I think that as a people, now we're really paying closer attention to the influence of our environment on our mental health. And talking about mental health is no longer taboo. No one is like, people aren't like, shh, you have a therapist. Like, what? Now we're like loud and proud, like, oh my gosh, I have a therapy session, right? So even in that, like, we're being loud and proud about taking care of our mental health. And part of that is cleaning up, right? We see on TikTok where they have people showcasing what their spaces look like in depressive states, and it is cluttered, it is messy, right? And then they also share about how people are going through and cleaning and clearing their spaces and what that's doing to their emotions, what that's doing to their mental space, how it's clearing up their conscious so that they are free to think a little bit better, so that they're free to emote freely and really be able to process their emotions and their thoughts in a clearer space, because now their space is clearer. Like I said, we just moved into a new house, and my kids were able to kind of pick out their own rooms. Like literally my 11-year-old has a bed, like a small area rug, a desk, and a chair. And she's like, yeah, that's all I want. Like, I want to be able to walk. I want to be able to like exist in my space and not trip. And I think that that's really beautiful, because so often we are cluttered with distraction, and that makes it harder for us to really kind of get to the center of what may be bothering us, what might be causing the depression, what might be causing the anxiety, because we're so distracted by all the proverbial squirrels in our rooms.
Yeah. Do you feel the same, Kathryn, when it comes to stuff around you and how that can just be like a release to get rid of it?
I completely agree. I really try and keep my space tidy, because it allows me to be so much more creative. And one of the ways I describe low waste living or sustainable living is how it makes your life so much more streamlined. And I feel like that's a really difficult principle to convey. What does streamlined mean? But one of the ways is that it allows space for all of the things you truly care about and truly love. And whenever everything in your space fills you with joy, fills you with creativity, gets you excited, and makes you happy to see it, the way that influences how your day and month and years go about is something that's just so difficult to talk about, but it really does allow you clarity and peace.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do if you're married to a hoarder? I feel like maybe that's another talk. But at some point I need to kidnap you and figure out how to get my husband to part with the like boxes of books that he's been carting from house to house for 30 years and hasn't read. But anyway, I won't bring my own personal baggage to the talk. I do think though, clutter and wasting and, just the accumulation of stuff is hard on parents, particularly because just being a mom is hard and there's a lot to do, add in work and family, and especially over the past year, homeschooling and elder care and all of those other things. Cleaning the house is like really not high on the list for many of us, right? So, to your point, when you streamline and just eliminate those things from existing at all, you save yourself time later in some ways. So it can be hard to get started, but once you get there, I'm very cutthroat now. I have become like I stop it at the front door. I'm like, that party bag, no, we recycle that right now. It's not even coming inside. So with that, I think we're going to have time for our avocado moment. we asked the Scary Mommy community to tell us what sources of clutter and waste they struggle with the most. And here's what they said. The findings are pretty interesting. The top 3 areas people described as those they wish to reduce waste and clutter are mail, laundry, and toys. So I think that's an interesting trifecta, but thinking about life as a mom, I could concur that those are definitely something that we struggle with. And I think as your kids get a little older, the toys transitions to like sports gear and like equipment for things that, they just need, and it's always around, and it takes a lot of space. So Aaronica, do you have some mom hacks for taming the amount of toys at home and keeping it sustainable? I know you mentioned, donating. What else do you do in your house?
So we regularly go through toys. Like if the toy is broken, like my middle child is infamous for like just cutting hair, and she's also my mini fashion designer. So she likes to cut hair. She likes to redesign clothes and stuff like that. But if we can't find certain pieces, we have to let it go. So we have a hard rule that if there are pieces missing, it's going. We're not holding on to it. We're not going to be looking around. Also, in order for them to get one thing, they have to give away 10 things. There's a 1 to 10 ratio. And it's very similar to Kathryn's, wait the 30 days, because like, how bad do you want this new thing? Or are your current toys good enough? We don't give all of like the Christmas gifts or birthday gifts at once. So yeah, they can open them up, but then we slowly do like a slow drizzle with giving them out. Or we allow them to earn them so that way, if they've done particularly well in school, they've been doing their chores consistently, then they have the opportunity to swap out toys. Because I find that if there's just too much, then they actually become overwhelmed, just like we do in cluttered space. And also if it can't fit, like if there's no space for it, then the space for it is out of the house. There's another child who has space for it, and we're going to give it to them. Like if you can't put it away, if I trip over it, and I'm fairly certain, Makayla, you have probably said this as well. Like if you don't put your toys away, I will put it away in this black bag, and it's going to leave the house. Right. So if there's no space for it, there's no space for it. And we're just going to bid it adieu and let somebody else care for it. And then we also do capsule wardrobes. So I'm a sewist, and I pretty much make all of their clothes. But as I'm designing out their capsule wardrobes, we're trying to mix and match as much as possible. So therefore, we're doing laundry just one time a week. Everyone has one load of laundry, and they're able to mix and match and create the different outfits versus having just too many clothes.
Oh, I like it. Okay. I don't know how you have all this time. Later, you need to tell us your secrets, but I think that is a great mom hack in terms of, some people call it a capsule. Some people call it kind of the no leopard print, system where everything matches everything else, right? If Primary is a brand that comes to mind where they have kids clothes that all match. They're gender neutral.
Right.
Brother and sister can interchange clothes. It doesn't matter. Everything, fits, it's comfortable, and there's no like glitter graphic-y stuff on it. It's just very, bright and whimsical, but easy to intermatch. I think that is great because kids can dress themselves, right? You don't have to worry about waiting for that perfect pair of jeans to match with the shirt, because everything goes with everything else, right? I love that. So mail was on that list of hard topics. Kathryn, when it comes to the mail, the paper is out of control for so many of us. What strategies do you have to deal with the paper clutter? And how do we recycle this? Should everyone have a shredder at home? What do you recommend?
Well, some fun junk mail facts. 44% of all junk mail goes to the landfill unopened, and it results in 51 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions. So junk mail is a fairly substantial issue. And one of the best things I can recommend for anyone to do is sign up with DMA and then catalogchoice.org. And these are 2 places that are going to get you on the do not mail list. And this is going to prevent so much mail from coming into your home. Because Makayla, what you were talking about earlier about stopping it at the door, this is really important. So it's called pre-cycling. And the idea is that you recycle before you ever get it home by just stopping it from coming into your home. And that's the best way to prevent clutter. It's the best way to prevent waste. Is to simply stop it from ever making it to you. And this also is part of the whole thing about giving yourself a lot more peace of mind, becoming more streamlined, because you never have to deal with it and you never have to see it. So signing up for digital billing as well. And then after you've put yourself on the do not mail list and you sign up for digital billing, you can also put a small note inside your mailbox that says no junk mail or flyers. And then anything that slips through the cracks, you can call and ask for your name to be removed from the mailing list. But if you don't want to do that, or you don't have the time, for a very small fee, there's an app called Paper Karma, and they will handle that for you as well. So all you have to do is take a picture of it and they will remove your name for you.
Ooh, I like it. Okay. So that was Derma catalog. DMA, sorry. DMA catalog
choice, and then paper karma.
Paper karma. Okay. Definitely need that. I do not want any more of this junk mail. Okay. I mean, I do like to flip through a nice furniture mag once in a while to just like pretend I can afford an $8,000 couch, but I don't need it. I've never bought anything from any of these people sending me the catalog. I mean, I get really infuriated when I get the catalog for like the thing that my kids don't even fit into anymore. I'm like, I'm done with your boots. Like, we don't fit into your sizes. Stop it. So definitely sign up for those lists and just get one thing off your list. Make that one call and then you don't have to deal with it later piling up. I love it. So let's see. Let's talk about the kid stuff. And, you know, when we are thinking about these big purchases, Aaronica, you know, I think of as parents, there's those kind of like big ticket items that every parent has to buy, right? We've got the crib, the car seat, you know, stroller. Those are like those big ticket items. And now I think it's getting a little better where the lifespan of these products is certainly becoming longer than it used to be. I remember when I had kids, I needed an infant car seat, then I needed another one, and then I needed another one when they got bigger. And it was like, how many car seats do I need to buy? And then by the time I had the second kid, the first one was like now dated and not approved anymore. And it's like all the things I sent to the landfill just for 2 children. It's mind blowing. What can parents today do when they are considering these big ticket items that are, you know, fairly expensive? How can we think about those in a more sustainable way?
So peak adulting here, right? This adulting thing is so hard because our parents definitely did not paint this picture for us of what this does, right? But the first thing that you want to do is really have the honest conversation about how many kids you're going to have, because that's going to really affect what you actually need, how long, like what kind of purchases you need to make, when you need to make them. So for baby cribs, absolutely go for the crib that is a convertible crib. Like my children have just gotten out of their cribs from when they first bought them, right? And it converted into the twin size bed that they needed. It went from crib to toddler bed to twin size bed. You know, we've had it for years. Also, for the cribs, check around to see if people are giving them away. There's all of these groups on Facebook where people are literally giving these things away. For example, like my latest crib for my last son, a fellow blogger gave it to me, like gifted it to me, and it went through her entire family, and she has 4 girls, right? And so now it's gone through our son. We also gifted it to another family who's having a child. We did keep up with any kind of recalls. We made sure that we made any fixes that needed to be done, that sort of thing. As far as like the like infant systems and stuff like that, I think that travel systems are the biggest waste of money unless you plan on having your children back to back. And the reason why is because, yes, you have an infant carrier, but depending upon the size of your baby, right, you can probably just go straight into a convertible car seat. And if I'm being completely honest, carrying around a baby in those infant carriers is not ergonomic. Unless like, I don't, you know, I've got hips, I've got thighs, I've got a booty, and it like, I was always bumping, like the baby was in there like bobblehead, like what's happening? Like, why is this happening to me? You know what I mean? So with the convertible car seats, it stays with them literally from infant on up to the booster seat until they no longer need to be in a car seat. So my son is in a Chico. He's been in a Chico since he was born. He is still in the same Chico now, and he is 60 pounds and 3 years old. So this is the car seat that is going to go with him throughout his development until we don't need one. And it's one purchase. So you really want to focus on getting more bang for the buck. But then once you're done with it, definitely recycle it. Target does a recycling program where you bring your like no longer needed infant car seats, your pack and plays, etc. Bring them in. You get a 25% off like coupon for something in their store, and they're moving to more sustainably sourced items as well. So you can, give it to them. They will recycle it. They actually send it back to the original brand and manufacturers for them to recycle. And now you have 25% off of another big ticket item, or going clothing shopping. I don't know, whatever it like speaks to your spirit, right? So really searching for the things that go longer. And then there's things like cloth diapers. I know that people are like, oh, but people, they poop in there. And it's like, it's okay. Like the poop won't kill you, I swear. But also like cloth diapers have come a really long way. They fit just like regular diapers do. Very easy to clean. They've got little sprayers that you can attach to your like toilet bowl, so you're not actually coming in contact with it. And if you're really like, listen, cloth diapers are not for me, cool. Just choose a more sustainable, actual like disposable diaper that is going to break down in compost, because they have those out there. You've got Hello Bella, which can be found at Walmart. You've got Seventh Generation. You've got Honest Company, and all of these diaper options are disposable and they will break down. So you don't have to worry about like if 40 years later, like your kid's dirty diaper is still going to be in, the pile of waste that's out there.
Those are such great tips. I feel like I can remember back to, being an expectant mom and being in the bye-bye baby or whatever the baby store was, and registering for all the things. And it's so immediate that you're focused on like this newborn that's coming home and this teeny baby. And like, you're only thinking of like, okay, I need the baby diapers. I need the infant car seat. And you're not even remotely aware that in like 6 months, none of the stuff is going to fit. And actually, the thing that you're going to need in your car for the longest period of time is not the thing that you're actually buying in those first days. But I'm so happy to hear that now there's so many more options for even car seats that can stay with your kid up until age 3 or 4. You can keep them rear facing, and then the same actual seat can turn around. That is a question to ask when you're still pregnant in the store. Ask those questions to whoever's helping you, or, when you're doing your research online, find out what thing is going to last the longest and save yourself the money and save, the landfill from taking all that extra gear for sure. And also, I think you mentioned these buy nothing groups that are on Facebook. Lots of neighborhoods have them. It's a great place for picking up stuff that you need. I've given stuff and taken stuff from these in my own community. And I feel like people are so generous when they know that it's going to other members of their community, whereas you might have considered selling it or, putting it up on Craigslist for a fee. But when you know that it's someone else in your own community that could benefit from whatever it is, it's a great place to find stuff. So if you're in the market, or if you have a new baby, a new pet, all of those things, check out your Buy Nothing. Okay, so another thing that was on this list of hot clutter waste items was laundry. Kathryn, I know you've done a lot of research on this topic, so I want you to talk to us a little bit about laundry. How do we reduce it? What kind of machine, if anyone here is looking for, a new machine, is this high efficiency machine and the high efficiency detergent really legit? Is it for real here? And what is wrong with making your own homemade laundry soap? Because I was surprised to read on your site, this is a terrible idea. So don't even try it. Not that I was really going to try it anyway, but tell us why.
So I have to say, I'm really, really spoiled because I actually don't do any laundry in my household. So my husband handles all the laundry.
Oh, well, okay. Now everyone hates you, Kathryn. You shouldn't have mentioned that, because now you're canceled now. You're done. Okay, go on.
And, but when we first moved to California, and I had the big grand idea to try making my own laundry detergent, mostly to save money, what happened was I wound up ruining a lot of clothes. I think that's when I was banned from doing laundry because I wound up ruining a set of sheets. I wound up ruining a lot of clothes because all of the oils stayed trapped. So if you think about soap scum on your shower, that's what's happening to your clothes, because you cannot make a detergent. You can only make a soap. And a lot of soap will build up in the fibers of your fabric. And the water is so hard out here in California that it wasn't washing clean. So if you have because there's several different types of cleaning. You have mechanical energy, which is an agitator. If you have an agitator, then heat energy. So if you're using hot water, and then of course, the soap or the detergent. And so being in California, using a machine that does not have an agitator and was a soap instead of a detergent, it just was not able to wash clean. So if you have a really old washing machine, you live somewhere with soft water, you might be able to get away with using homemade detergent or homemade soap. We, however, could not. And we wound up ruining a lot of clothes. And what I found out is it actually voids the washing machine's warranty using it, because the soap scum can build up and get mold inside of your washing machine. And it can just create a lot of problems and a lot more waste. So looking for a biodegradable detergent is always going to be a really good solution, and is something that is at least will save you a tiny bit of time compared to making it on your own. And as far as actually doing laundry, something that I think is really important in our family especially is we only wash our clothes when they're dirty, like if they're stained or if they smell bad. So we can wear shirts a few days in a row. Jeans, I mean, who washes jeans? Definitely after a few weeks. And we like to air our clothes out because this really, really helps. So instead of immediately taking a piece of clothing and folding and putting it back, we'll actually lay it out so air can circulate around it. And this helps with its integrity. This helps keeps the piece nice. It helps keeps it clean, and it removes a lot of bad smells as well. Like if there is anything, you're just letting it air out. And
you're telling me that the chair I have in my room, which is like, it's not clean, it's not dirty, it's just the chair. It's like the things go there for a couple days until I decide to either do something with it. So that's actually helping us. Good for the environment. Okay. Thank you for that validation.
It is. Yeah. So you're allowing all of your clothes to air out, which is really good for them instead of wearing them back to back. And that's going to help keep them cleaner longer and ensure that because every time you wash and dry a piece, right, that affects its longevity. So the longer you can wait to wash it, and then if you're air drying it instead of putting it in the dryer, you're going to make sure your clothes are lasting a really long time.
I love this. Okay. This is a great tip. Now let's also talk about one of the big sources of thinking about toxins now in our home. One of the things that we've mentioned, cribs and other things, but the mattresses, right? And as we have kids and our kids get older, we tend to buy more of those, right? The kids eventually grow out of the small toddler bed. We got to get them a twin, or you get a puppy and you realize that the puppy that used to be this big is now gigantic, and you need a king bed now because no one can fit. And true story. So, the mattress is something that's a big ticket purchase, but, there are some associated off-gassing issues and toxin issues that come along with mattresses. Aaronica, do you have any thoughts on how to think about, buying beds and that whole part of our nighttime routine?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things. So be intentional about the brands that you support as far as the brand that you're going to purchase, right? So like Naturepedic is excellent, using sustainable and non-toxic materials. So is Avocado Mattress. So starting out there, right, is also really great. But then even making sure that you're doing proper maintenance. So some of the things that you can do to keep your mattress clean, sprinkle some baking soda on top and let it sit for a while, just like you would do for your carpet, and vacuum it. I was talking to my husband. I was like, hey, babe, when was the last time you vacuumed the mattress? And he was like, I haven't lately, So adding that to your actual cleaning routine is also really good. And then using like non-toxic cleaners to clean it. So like I said, I have a toddler, and we are still doing overnight potty training. And we never use like things like pull-ups and things like that, obviously, because that just kind of adds to the waste. We just kind of wake them up in the middle of the night and say a prayer that we made it before they had an accident. But to keep those mattresses clean, deodorized, and making sure that those are fresh, all you have to do is spray some vodka. Yes, vodka, like the low shelf. Don't get like the top tier vodka to spray on the mattress, and let it dry out. And that will kill the bacteria that's inside of there. And then you just do some more sprinkling with baking soda, vacuum it up. And changing your sheets. Linens are one of the things that we do wash often, simply because it catches all of our skin, dead skin. It catches like the bugs from our eyelashes, things like that. So we do wash those really regularly. Like we change our linens between 1 to 2 times a week, simply because we sleep in our beds every single night, right? Sometimes some of us are showering before bed, some of us aren't, some of us are falling asleep before we can shower, etc. So I am one of those people who does not like a dirty bed. We don't allow outside clothes like on the bed at all, simply because there's outside dirt that can get onto your clothes, and then it goes onto your bed. And then it definitely affects the longevity of the cleanliness of the mattress. So those are some things to keep in mind.
Girl, I hear you. I do not let the subway riding children come and sit on the bed with the same clothing. That is a no. That Absolutely. Is a definite hell no. And Kathryn, I think you pointed out when we were talking earlier, as well as the mattress and the benefits to choosing an organic mattress, if you have the resources to do so, is the sheets themselves, right? Talk to us about why that's important.
Yeah. And I also just want to say, a lot of mattresses, when you think about memory foam, that's actually just polyurethane, it's plastic, and that's what the off-gassing is from. So when it does come time to choose a new mattress, looking for organic materials like avocado is really important. But in the meantime, the off-gassing period normally lasts about 3 years. So if you have an existing mattress, there's no reason to just throw it out. Use what you have, cleaning it. Those are all fantastic tips. And then sheets. And when it comes to sheets, this is something that also touches our skin constantly. And it's a really easy swap, at least typically easier than switching out your mattress, and looking for things like organic cotton or linen or sustainably made fabrics, something like bamboo, like Attitude. They make these fantastic sheets that are, and also they're made really, really well. So when you are washing them, because these are things that we do wash often, underclothes, sheets, all of these pajamas, all these things that we do wash so often, they do need to be able to hold up to a lot of washes and a lot of wear and a lot of tear. So making sure that those are really high quality and well made, and opting for an organic pair is going to serve you really, really well for a very long time.
Yeah, I think that is a great point. And I want to just mention as well, you both has suggested Avocado Green Mattress. They're our sponsor of tonight's talk, and their mattresses are so comfortable. I have experienced a couple of them, not in my own home. Shout out Avocado if you're listening. But I just want to say the difference between like a truly organic mattress that comes out of the box and has zero smell is really an eye opener. I have a Tempur-Pedic mattress from like the dark ages. Like it's time I need to make the change. But then when you add on the organic sheets, it's a whole different experience. And when you think about how much time you spend in your bed and the fact that your skin is your body's biggest organ, you really want to think about, wow, I'm exposing to myself to more healthy fibers and materials. And that's maybe, something that I want to think about when I'm making that choice. My back is hurting, Avocado. I think it's time. It's time.
Something I think is really interesting is also if you tend to sleep really warm. So if you wake up sweating a lot at night, the difference in having an organic mattress that's breathable, think about sleeping on plastic, right? So the difference between sleeping on plastic and sleeping on something that's breathable is going to change your life. When my husband and I met, we were working at an acting gig in Pennsylvania, and obviously they did not have the nicest mattresses. So anyways, he would sleep very, very warm, and it was, so when we moved and got an organic mattress, so the night and day changes between what that sleeping experience was like. It was very eye-opening.
100%. I'm married to a sweater. He's like a nighttime sweater. And I think this is going to be the key here for us. We got to get out of this. Basically, we're sleeping in a plastic bed. Not good. Okay. So in thinking about other sources of toxins in the home, another big one that comes to mind is cookware. And I don't know if anyone out there has seen the Mark Ruffalo film Dark Waters, but that will scare the living bejesus out of you and send you into your kitchen in search of anything with like a nonstick surface to get rid of it immediately. But, I think this is something that you still might have lingering around. And now there's a lot of things out in the market that I'm noticing that have the green label, but are they really safe once they're put on the hot surface? Not sure. Aaronica, what do you recommend when it comes to cookware?
Definitely not those nonstick things, right? So I really like to use cast iron. I like to use a quality Dutch oven. Like, I am like, obviously I'm Black, but I'm like, using my grandma's like cast iron, right? Because it's seasoned, it's well made, it cooks evenly, it can go in the oven on top. And cast iron you can find everywhere. And cast iron, of course, as you're cooking, it actually adds iron, healthy iron to your food. So excellent, properties added there. Also, porcelain is really good, like a ceramic, just as long as it's not got that like Teflon stuff on there, right? And also being intentional about the different spoons that you're using on there to increase the longevity. So like all of that black, like plastic spoon, you definitely shouldn't use that, because as that heats up, it's emitting like nasties into your food. You're ingesting it. It is now in your body. You don't want that. But also, even if you're using these, because of course, cookware can be really expensive. So if you are using some of these non-stick products and you're like, okay, I can't really afford to toss these, just make sure that you're not using that metal to scrape that up and get into your food even more. Like you see the bottoms being scraped, just don't use that metal. Use wood, wooden spoons. They have that ability to get the bottom. Also, you shouldn't be scorching your food. So there's that too. Don't scorch your dishes. But also, be more gentle with your foods if you can't replace what you have right now, because of course, money is something to consider. Momavation, who is run by Leah Seghetti, she actually did a deep dive into a study and has named some really great pots that are great to use and that are non-toxic. Copper is also a really awesome alternative.
And also check grandma's house, because grandma is a believer in all of the toxins in many cases, not every grandma, but I happen to know a couple who you go in there and it's all the scratched pans and all of the melted things, the flippers are all melted. And it's like, grandma, no, we don't use these anymore. You gotta tell grandma, cooking for the children. Okay, so I want to go now to some questions from the audience, because a lot of folks are asking about this idea of, trying to do our part to reduce waste and toxins, but it seems like a lot of time and a lot of money. And so people are feeling a little overwhelmed with either having to make that investment or that, their individual actions are not enough. Kathryn, what would you say to someone who's, concerned that they might not have the resources to really invest in making these changes?
Yeah, so we absolutely talked a lot about swaps, I feel like, in this talk, and we didn't necessarily highlight a lot of the money saving capabilities. I believe Aaronica talked about it a bit, but when you're buying a lot of these things, you're buying them to last, and it is an investment. And I'm not going to say it's not. It's definitely an investment up front for a lot of things. But what that's going to do is it's going to save you so much money in the long run. And I have saved thousands of dollars by switching from disposable products to reusable products, by choosing to buy less, by choosing to buy better, by making investments, really narrowing down what I actually need and only focusing on those items. And so while some of the things are more expensive up front, I've been able to build so much of that into my budget. And I think that's another reason why it's also important to have manufacturers address these problems, right? Why is it so cheap to use something that's unhealthy, right? That's another question that we should be asking, and we should be demanding for better practices across the board to hopefully lower the cost and make it more accessible for everyone.
That's a great point. I think we have to remember with all of these things, we as consumers, it might seem like our little actions are not going to make a big difference, but if collectively we all make these decisions, it does filter up to the level of the corporations and to the policymakers who really are the ones who have the power to make these far-reaching decisions that we want to see to protect the planet for our kids.
Yeah.
So Aaronica, here's another question from our audience. When it comes to cleaning up after my 3 kids, I use Clorox wipes because it's easier for me. How else can I clean without wasting too much time?
So instead of Clorox wipes, an easy swap is to use something like a 7th generation, especially if you're like, hey, look, I don't really have a lot of time. The beauty of doing something like 7th generation or even the method wipes is you can get your kids involved in that cleanup process and you don't have to worry about the toxins affecting them. Not only do you have some help cleaning up, but they're also learning some levels of responsibility. And those wipes are typically flushable and compostable, so you are lowering your waste impact there. Having the plastic can be a little bit of a concern, but you can always reuse those plastic ones and make your own solutions. One of the really great things that, so like Grove offers, Grove Collaborative, is you can buy the concentrates poured into that plastic thing that you were once using, fill it with some paper towels, and now you've just remade your own wipes that are non-toxic, and you have upcycled a plastic case and your kids are involved. Say no to like Clorox, say no to things like Fabuloso. I know I'm gonna get some flack from that from some personal friends, like Fabuloso is just not it, friends, okay? Full of toxins. You
mean the purple glowing solution is not from nature? Come on.
I mean, like, I understand it says lavender or like lilac on it, but I promise you, it's not it.
I come from a line of Fabuloso fans as well, so I hear you on that one. And so when it comes to these wipes, I feel like there's also, a bit of a slippery slope there, because as parents, it's like wipes are everywhere, right? Even after your kids are long out of diapers, the wipes are still around, wiping faces, wiping butts, wiping when you need a little wipage quality control. But really, these are very harmful for the environment. And even the ones that they say to flush usually end up not breaking down, and it turned up into a big pile of sludge at the end of the line, right? So, Kathryn, what are some other alternatives to wipes that people could think about across the board, both for body and for surfaces?
So one of the things I love to recommend, because I feel like a lot of people's really big complaints with your reusable towels is that they just push water around, right? They don't absorb the water, they just push it around. And that's because you're not using the right type of towel. And if you're making your homemade laundry detergent, you might have soap buildup, which is creating a water repelling problem. So to make sure they're actually absorbing, I really recommend bar towels. These are fantastic at absorbing water. So it's cotton with a really large weave. So water is actually trapped and it's actually absorbing moisture instead of pushing it around. And so having a few of those that are small, I use those all the time for so many things. And Aaronica was mentioning using vodka. Yes, that is absolutely fantastic. I love using vodka in my homemade cleaning products.
I feel like she's talking about bar towels and vodka. I mean, is this a theme? Is this a theme here? I like where this is heading.
It's actually a really old theater hack that we used to use for as a homemade Febreze, because it was so much cheaper. We'd use really low quality vodka, half water, and you use it as a Febreze to like help with your clothes and costumes, because most costumes are not washed in between shows. So maybe that's where I got the whole, just wait on laundry. It's been drilled into me for so long and from costume departments. But having a small bottle, I actually keep a small bottle at my desk, and we have small bottles throughout the house so we can easily just clean up as we go, and just making it easy on yourself. Make it really easy to reach for the reusable product, because I promise once you start using it, what you realize is it really does actually not take any more time, and it is going to be saving you money. I always tell people, does it take more time to do this with a paper towel than it does with a cloth towel? And it really doesn't. And then you don't have to worry about having wipes everywhere and then throwing them away. It's just something that becomes a lot more streamlined, because everything in your home has a place and has a place that it belongs.
One of the other things that we did was we actually started to use reusable like cloth wipes. So my son was cloth diapered, so we had cloth wipes to go along with him. He's no longer in diapers. So now we use those wipes for the cleanups, for the spills, and we just have a pre-made solution.
Girl, I remember my grandmother vividly dusting the wood furniture with my former cloth diaper, when I was like walking to school. Like that is how old school my household was. We were like, nope, this rag still has life in it.
Right.
We are going to use it down to the bone. Doesn't matter that it used to be on your butt. All right. So those are some great strategies for, just quick things. And I think the theme that I'm hearing here is that it takes a little bit of time to set up the system. But once you have that bottle filled with the solution, you've got the right towels, the cleanup is just as quick as it would be coming out of a Clorox, disposable situation, but you're doing it more sustainably. And the bonus is you're not going to run out. If your bottle gets empty, fill it up from the bar and you got more, right? I mean, I wish I had time, but my bar is collecting dust right now. So I really should just repurpose it for some cleaning and we'd be in business here. I love it. Okay. So let's see. One last quick topic that I wanted to just touch on, because I know that our audience is interested in this, and that is beauty products. There's, as women, we are, bombarded with things all over the place telling us we need to look a certain way, we need to smell a certain way, we got to put this cream on, you're looking old, you're looking dry, you need to do all the things. Okay, so I know this is literally could be its own session, and I think we may do that in the future. I want to ask both of you, if you were going to think about one green choice that you could make in your own kind of beauty routine, what would that be? And maybe you'll inspire someone out there watching to think about a different solution for, skin, hair, beauty care. Aaronica, do you have one that comes to mind?
Sure. Using reusable cotton wipes. Like stop using the disposable cotton swabs and cotton balls and the cotton rounds. Use the reusable ones.
And how do you wash those? Do you like put them in a baggie and then put them in the machine to wash?
So you can put them into like one of those like little fishnet bags. You can use one of your reusable produce bags. Just put it inside of there, drop it in the washing machine, let it dry or let it air dry.
And the mascara comes off?
Everything comes off.
I like it. I'm going to try this. Because you hate it when you run out of those things. It's really the worst.
And then like, oh my God, I'm left with a full face of makeup.
Right. And do you really need to pay $3.99 to immediately throw it in the garbage? Right. Okay. So Kathryn, what about you? What's your green beauty secret for us?
Okay. Wow. This is a lot of pressure. I'm going to go kind of high level here and go one in, one out. So similar to a capsule wardrobe, it's like creating a capsule makeup or a capsule beauty collection. Because what I used to do is when I got halfway through a product, I would go, oh, I'm running out of this. And then I go to the store and then I'd buy 2 or 3 and I don't know why. And then I'd forget about them or I'd try them and I wouldn't like them. And I'd wind up just hoarding all of this makeup that was hardly ever used. So now it is one in, one out. And I've narrowed down to the products I actually know, love, and use.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
That is a great one. Yeah. Cause it can really be overwhelming when you get, and especially when you have daughters and then the daughters start to get involved and they all want to use the things and they don't use the one thing that they should use, which is the deodorant. They ignore that completely. And they glaze over that, use all the other creams, lotions and things that don't do anything, but everyone's walking around stinking, even if you're taking a shower. Trust me. You're not there yet, but you're going to get to this point, and then you're going to have to come back and we're going to have to do a whole show on how to get your child to shower. Okay. So we are almost out of time here, but I want to let everyone know that our next live event will be on August 3rd. And the topic is in-person school, how to get back to the new normal safely. A lot of changes happening this summer, and what our September is going to look like is going to be better, hopefully, but there are going to be a lot of considerations for our little ones, especially those who are not yet vaccinated. So register now at scarymommy.com/Live.Work.Thrive for more on that event. So I want to thank both of our panelists. This has been such a great talk, and I think I've certainly gotten a lot of great tips from you both, for ways that we can make these tangible small changes that do add up to big change at the macro level. Kathryn Kellogg, you can find out more about her sustainable living lifestyle tips at her site goingzerowaste.com. Aaronica Cole, find her work on living green, social justice, and body positivity on thecrunchymommy.com. And also thank you to our sponsor, Avocado Green Mattress. They also make cribs and dog beds for anyone who got a pandemic puppy and may have regrets like myself here. You can get a cute dog bed from them as well. Check them out if you're in the market. So have a great night, Scary Mommies. The first step in fixing our planet is talking about it. And so I'm so glad everyone's joined us tonight. I hope our discussion can spark change in your own life to keep our families and our planet healthy. Let's support one another as we work toward less waste, fewer toxins, and a world where we can all live, work, and thrive. Good night, everyone.